I'm Ryan from teachimg Manipulations, and today we're going to try cutting with a fingered grip. I've noticed this debate going on in the Chinese sword community that this idea that gripping your sword with the finger over the hilt is somehow unhistorical and, more than that, ineffective, and that you wouldn't be able to deliver a solid or effective cut without something similar to a hammer fist grip, which I just don't think is true. And I thought the best thing I could do in order to figure that out would be to put it to the test. So I've got my janky homemade saber, which doesn't have a pommel yet, but that shouldn't matter for what we're doing, because all we really need for it to have is a guard and an edge, which it does. And I think that this is probably the worst possible grip to hold this particular sword with, since it's clearly not designed for it, and fingers probably would prefer to be behind the guard, as you know, it has a saber guard and is designed to do. But my hypothesis is that I will still be able to make effective cuts even holding it relatively gently with my center of my hold at the guard there. And so I'm gonna get my Kevlar gloves on, safety glasses, as you should. I know you might be thinking right here, well, Ryan, this is definitely a cut-centric sword. Is this really a good substitute for cutting with like a jian or a straight Chinese sword or something set up a little differently? And I would say no, it is quite different. And this definitely is a chopper optimized for cutting, but it's also a sharp sword that I have, so it's the one I'm going to try, and I think will make up for the difference in sort of the center of percussion mass distribution, and it being optimized for cutting, with the fact that it's poorly constructed, basically S-shaped, and yeah, otherwise, and also that the guard that I'm going to use is like the opposite one that I think you would actually want to get a good cut out of this. And my hypothesis is that it's still going to work fine. And we're going to sharpen this thing up and see how she goes. Any bamboo or anything fancy or simulating of a human body like that, so we're going to use this 2x4. This ought to work. I've got, so here we go. Here's my grip, here's my sword. Pretty good. Let's try it from the other side. A little twist cut. Maybe a little undercut. Yeah, I'm just gonna hold it like this, and we'll see what happens. Like a pinch. Ready? Come over. Can you come over to it? I didn't make it through the 2x4, but I sure wouldn't want that to be my arm, chest, face, or head. That actually went better than I expected it to. Didn't have any issues with the handle twisting in my hand. Made some pretty deep cuts. Again, into a seasoned 2x4. And I didn't feel like I was in any danger of losing the weapon, and it certainly didn't bounce back. Again, with grip like this, and then at the end, just like this. Sun went inside, but I want to. Anyway, it's not going to hold the camera for me anymore. But I still want to cut this thing some more, so I'm going to see if I can balance my phone on something. Thank you, Mr. Gnome. Oh man, this is really awkward. This one I might lose. We'll see. Yeah, that's pretty. Just like this. Yeah, no, that's rough. Let's try this. Hey, even that was okay. Not a lot of power. But okay, let's do this again. We're gonna grip with the fingered guard and the thumb over the guard. The nice thing about this kind of tight grip right up on the guard is you can circle with it really well. Like back here, this is a great grip, you know? Love this one. But up here, you get a little more circling action because you're holding it right at the pivot point. So you can really get these nice twisting cuts and chops. Change direction quickly. You don't need to come in far to get enough power to do some damage. Not every strike needs to be like that. So this grip, I'm going to keep using it. And, you know, going into a little more nuance, personally I'm torn on the fingered guard as well, because we can see from the record in Europe for sure, and from my admittedly limited experience in Chinese examples as well, that you do have lots of examples of fingering the guard in this way, where the index finger actually wraps around the ricasso of the blade. And of course the immediate reaction of people is, well, you're going to get your finger chopped off. And in my sparring, yeah, that's true. I actually tried it last night with my Sifu teachimg and of Eternal Arts Kung Fu. And yeah, no, I got tagged on the finger a few times. And yeah, there's the whole discussion of how that led to the finger ring and the side sword being adopted in Europe, which I'm not going to go into too much here because it's not what the video is about. But the fact is that we have numerous examples of historical artwork of people fingering over the guard without side rings. So historically, it's valid. I personally have not had great experience with using it in sparring. I do get my fingers, as I said, I do get my fingers hit a lot. But I think that's probably a skill issue on my part. I think, you know, in the immortal words of Viva La Dirt League, you got to get good. There's a quote from Colonel Monstery that the inestimable Ben Miller was sharing around, along with an excellent essay by Mr. Miller that I'll link in the comments here, that discusses how a sharp point is a peremptory fact that will shatter most illusions. And I think, oh, that wasn't as cool as it could have been. That when we spar, it's inherently not a good indication of what a life or death combat or training for life or death combat with a bladed weapon would be like at all. Because, you know, you only get to do it once. Fencers would be much more cautious than you are during sparring, and their teachers, when they were sparring with fetters and wooden swords and etc., they would teach a different sort of fencing, where you would prioritize defense, because if you rushed in and accepted a double like we do so often in tournaments and regular sparring, where, well, now you're both dead, or badly wounded and probably die slowly of an infection over the next several weeks. So actual historic fencing would prioritize defense in a way that modern sparring does not. And I think that in itself, I've been in my own fencing, I've been working on that since I read that sharp point, that you really don't want to get hit. That's crucial. You really don't want to get hit, like, ever, because if you do, you probably, there's a good chance that you won't survive. And that should inform your fencing. And my theory at this point is that that's what the disconnect is with me and other modern fencers, and getting hit in the fingers all the time with a fingered grip without a finger ring. Obviously, the finger ring was an innovation, since so many weapons in Europe used finger rings, and then later complex guards, to protect the hand. After the introduction of finger rings, that became a thing. But observe the inference from available records remains that it appears that Europeans and Chinese fencers were fingering the guard before finger rings were put on the guard. So it calls for more study. Let's do one more, just for funsies. Full strength. I'm going to try to cut entirely through this thing. You ready? Yeah. That's all right. There we go. There we go. Okay, now this one I really don't think will work, because I have a little back edge on this thing. You can kind of see it there, but it's with the hook of the saber, it's really not that effective. It's just kind of a little bunk spot. Usually I would want to get a nice solid grip on it in order to do any action from the back section there, but I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to hold it with the fingered guard, so that my only contact point is here, you know, where the sort of in the web of the thumb, and the pinch grip between the thumb and the forefinger, and I'm going to try to both deliver enough force to cut through this and not lose my sword. We'll see how that goes. Ooh. Well, that didn't work very well. Technical difficulties. Oh, that piece was pretty dry. more just broke from the impact, so I don't think that was really a good test. We'll go back to our trusty 2x4 here. That was a piece of rhododendron bush that I chopped out of my garden last week, so we'll give this a shot now with the 2x4 and see how far we get. Oh, that's all right. So okay, so again, I'm right here, right? I don't have much holding the sword in my hand, but I'm able to live pretty good blows, even backwards. My only contact point here is like this little ring, and I'll do it with this little ring. So yeah, even with like the most awkward arrangement that I can really think of, a sharp sword cuts, man. That's what it's made to do. I don't have to encourage it much. I'll do this one. I like this one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.